Hi, my name is Justin Ocampo, and this is my PowerPoint presentation on Agile and Scrum methodologies. Waterfall methodology. Waterfall methodologies is a linear project management plan. It's a step-by-step plan. Every stage must be completed before commencing the next stage. It is normally used when the plan is very clear, but it's also a very rigid plan and has very little flexibility. So it goes from requirements to analysis, then to design, testing, deployment, and finally support. Agile methodology. Although waterfall involves more of a linear process when it comes to managing a project, Agile is the opposite. Agile is a project management technique that advocates for more of a step by step process and is more about adaptability and improvement. It applies to projects where unexpected and very large changes tend to happen. So, for traditional methodologies, there's many limitations. So, waterfall is a conventional approach, but it has several limitations. Since it's very rigid, it's not very flexible. Other limitations include the detection of errors, which happens late in the process, meaning errors are identified after a long time, and the involvement of customers, which happens to result in costly modifications when a client wishes to add and remove items towards the end of the project. So it really does cause a lot of setbacks. Agile improving upon methodologies. So Agile represents an advancement in the project management because it offers more of a flexible way to handle projects. Instead of forcing every step to be completed in a mandatory and strict sequence, multiple processes can move forward in parallel to each other at the same time. Generally speaking, Agile enhances collaboration with clients, allowing them to propose changes without being an obstacle to the progress of development. So here's a diagram for Agile methodology. So step 1 is requirements. Step 2 is the design. Step 3 is development. Step 4 is testing. Step 5, deployment. And final step, step 6, is review. Scrum framework. So here I have a diagram of how Scrum framework works and all the pieces that combine to it. So you got product owner, Scrum master, the team, and then the customers. So product owner, then you go on to product backing, then you got sprint backing, then you got sprint planning, and that goes, the sprinting is all through a 1 to 4 week process. So obviously you got sprint reviews, product backing, refinement, and sprint retrospective. And then the daily stand-up is a 24-hour process. Then you got customer ready product increment. Then it goes to product owner, and then incremental product review. And that is Scrum framework. So some examples of agile products. So I have 3. So the first one would be Microsoft. So Microsoft has moved away from the old lengthy waterfall release cycles and has embraced continuous delivery, even embracing DevOps practices. The idea behind this strategy is to release more, often smaller, reliable updates that unify development and operations. Netflix has maintained a mentality of agility over the years to ensure responsiveness within an ever-changing streaming environment, with changes with shifting platforms, technologies, and user expectations. So the final one would be Spotify. So Spotify uses agile teams to quickly build and update features like playlists, recommendations, and anything else in the mobile app. They release improvements constantly based on the user feedback. So agile implementation. So starting off, you got project kickoff. First is to identify stakeholders and then designate the proper product owner. Sprint planning, so you set up a 2 week sprint with the priorities being completed. Daily stand-ups, so daily meetings to record progress. Sprint review, demonstrate the sprint outcomes and gather feedback. And then lastly, you got sprint retrospective, so you record the lessons learned and improvements. All right, conclusion. To wrap things up, to conclude it all, Agile is a methodology that enhances teamwork because every group can focus on their role and does not have any pressure to complete a task before moving to the next one. It's perfect for projects that change in a twinkling of an eye and thrive in an unforgiving, convoluted setting. The companies that are using Agile have been very successful ever since using it. In other words, Agile is the approach that ensures cohesive teamwork.